Hello, we are going to start with a phrase you hear around these parts, laissez les bon temps rouler. We are letting the good times roll. Here in New Orleans, I'm Coy Wire. This is CNN 10, your 10 minutes of news where I simply tell you the what, letting you decide what to think. I'll be coming to you from the Big Easy all week as we are here covering the Super Bowl. Happy Friday Eve, everyone. Let's get you your news. We start today in Greece, where 4 popular tourist islands have been rocked by earthquakes and tremors for days. More than 200 earthquakes were recorded between Santorini and Amorgos in the Aegean Sea since Friday. The strongest one reaching a magnitude of 4.9 on the Richter scale. The islands of Ios and Anafi also felt that seismic activity. The constant barrage of tremors prompted officials there to close schools for the whole week and to advise residents not to gather in large numbers indoors. Airlines quickly added additional flights this week to help people leave the tourist hotspot. The region is no stranger to earthquakes. The islands sit on several fault lines known as the Hellenic Volcanic Arc, one of the most active volcanic fields in Europe. That fact doesn't seem to scare away the more than 3 million people from visiting Santorini each year, significantly eclipsing the estimated 20,000 permanent residents there. Dubbed Greece's Instagram island, Santorini's stunning scenery draws visitors from around the world all year long. Authorities said the current seismic activity is due to tectonic movements that do not appear to be related to volcanic activity. The most recent large quake in Santorini struck in 1956. The 7.5 magnitude earthquake was followed by a 25-meter high, or roughly 80-foot tsunami. At least a third of the houses on the island collapsed. Our Elinda Labrapoulou shows us what it's like on the island as many make their way back to the mainland.
Tourists who came looking for respite, now rushing to escape dreamlike Santorini, as the Greek island trembles with seismic activity. Hundreds of earthquakes have struck the waters near the island since Friday. Some are hardly noticeable. Others have reached magnitudes of over 5, giving visitors and locals alike enough reason to flee.
No one could sleep last night, not my wife, my son only a bit. There was a lot of noise. It was surely a 4.9 quake, and in the house it was really loud. We went running outside. That's why we cannot stay here any longer.
More than 6,000 residents have already left Santorini, while schools remain closed until at least Friday, and authorities warn residents to avoid indoor gatherings. These measures as airlines offer extra flights out of the island, and people flock to the ports. But as the island empties, its tremors persist.
We're going to leave because I'm afraid. There are constantly earthquakes. We have to leave for the kids, so the kids can calm down.
Santorini is no stranger to earthquakes, but near constant seismic phenomena like this are rare. Even so, as thousands rush to the mainland, others feel less inclined.
We will stay here. Why should we leave? We are locals. We were born here.
Scientists say the seismic activity could last for days, if not weeks, threatening landslides and the possibility of a larger quake. And so, an island whose geography and beauty is known to draw visitors in, for now, steers them away.
Pop quiz hot shot. Which is the only North American Great Lake entirely within U.S. territory? Lake Huron, Lake Michigan, Lake Superior, or Lake Ontario? If you said Lake Michigan, put your hands up. It's the only Great Lake that does not partially fall within Canada's border. In Uganda, more than a century of colonization and globalization have had a major impact destabilizing one of Africa's most biodiverse ecosystems on Lake Albert. Now the Banguju people are reviving indigenous farming techniques to restore rivers and improve farming while having those customary laws protected by their government. Our Victoria Rubadiri tells us more about their cultural approach to conservation.
Fishermen's boats rock back and forth in the afternoon waters of Lake Albert in northern Uganda. The freshwater lake supports a population of nearly 2.5 million people here.
However, Lake Mwitanzige, as it was originally known before the colonialists renamed it Lake Albert, holds far more sentimental and spiritual value to to the people that live off of it.
They are known as the Bagungu people, and here in Uganda, they are one of the few communities that observe the ancient wisdom that governs how they treat and protect their environment.
We had specific days and seasons for fishing. We look at the moon. When it comes, they go to fish. When it disappears, they stop fishing. In our traditional laws, we don't catch young fish. But now even the fully grown ones aren't there because the fish stocks are reducing.
Such laws that were meant to stop harmful activities like overfishing were abandoned during colonialism and deemed backward. In recent years, though, the elders who were the only custodians of these customary laws began slowly returning to them and even passing them down to the next generation. These elders drew these ecological maps that detail the Bagungu's landscapes and ecosystem. The women farmers have managed to restore the indigenous seeds their ancestors used to plant. They found them to be a far more sustainable option to the hybrid varieties most smallholder farmers plant. The natural pest control methods used generations ago have proven to still be relevant today and effective in ensuring healthy crop harvests.
The current generation is not aware of this ancient knowledge. Many are not interested in farming, but we are passing down the knowledge to those who will learn.
You find in many spaces that indigenous knowledge is being codified a lot more. We're looking at cultures that are working on new regenerative agricultural practices that are based on some of that wisdom. The seeds that they are saving and sharing among them, for example, are things that are now being written about, and they are being put into a much more serious body of work that is allowing indigenous people to find their space and their visibility.
Back in 2020, the Bagungu's customary law practices were codified in Ugandan law, a first-of-its-kind adoption of indigenous knowledge by an African government. Dennis Tabaro has walked this journey over the last 7 years, helping the Bagungu revive their ancient wisdom. Their efforts now paying off.
Some animals we are told have come back. About 6 years ago when we came here, those rivers were dry. So when the communities and the elders started performing these rituals and ceremonies, then the rain came in time. We can see some of the rivers.
The ancient knowledge of the Bagungu has certainly stood the test of time, surviving colonialism and most recently, the discovery of oil in their region. And now, with the ever-present threat climate change poses to their ecosystem, the Bagungu are even more determined to keep their culture of conservation alive.
Our 10 out of 10 today is going to a violin that could break a Guinness World Record. A 300-year-old Stradivarius violin is estimated to fetch between $12 and $18 million at Sotheby's auction on Friday. The current record for a violin at auction is $15.9 million, set back in 2011. The hyped-up instrument lives up to its fame. It's considered the best of acclaimed Italian instrument maker Antonio Stradivari's work, made during his golden period. The best part of it all is that proceeds are going to go to student scholarships at the New England Conservatory. Shout out time now. This one's going out to the marvelous Marauders and all our friends at Mount Olive Middle School in Mount Olive, New Jersey. Rise up. We are headed into the best part of the week. Work hard, study harder. Let's finish this week strong tomorrow on CNN 10.